Happy Halloween, Chiefs Kingdom. I got a question for y'all. Can the Chiefs go undefeated? What is the likelihood of that happening? And then we'll look forward to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. I am Gary McKenzie, your host here at RGR Football. Welcome to another show. Glad you're here. Hope you all are having a nice Halloween. If you're taking your kids out like I will be doing later, have fun, be safe. And, don't forget about the dad tax or the mom tax. A little bit of that candy is yours. If you took them trick-or-treating, you have every right to, maybe a couple things of, Reese's Pieces or whatever it is that you want. Just know that the dad tax, the mom tax on Halloween candy is real. So, looking at the Chiefs' schedule going forward, I want to think about whether or not the Chiefs can go undefeated. Can they go 17-0 this season? Is that even a realistic thing to think about? And then if it is, what is the probability that the Chiefs do finish the season with 10 more wins and finish the regular season 10-0? So their next matchup is versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're 8.5-point favorites. The likelihood that the Chiefs win that game, being an 8.5-point favorite, is about 80%. So going forward with the rest of these odds, I used Pro Football Reference's SRS score and kind of used those to generate what I think a fair spread would be for the game. This 8.5-point spread for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, I think, is kind of favorable to the Chiefs. If I was a betting person, I might want to take the Buccaneers to beat that spread. 8.5 points is a lot. I know they're down Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, and have a lot of other injuries they're dealing with, but 8.5 points is still a lot. They still have Baker Mayfield. He still played pretty well last week. So I don't know about the 8.5-point spread, but regardless, the Chiefs have an 80% chance of winning that game based on that spread. Next week, after Tampa Bay, they see the Denver Broncos at home. I have the Chiefs as 5-point favorites in that game, and that leads into a 68% chance of winning that game. The next week, they're at Buffalo. I have Buffalo favored in this game according to the SRS scores. Don't hate me. But according to the SRS scores, the Chiefs would be 2-point underdogs in this game versus Buffalo, and that gives them about a 46-47% chance of winning that game. At Carolina, I have the Chiefs as 21-point favorites in that game, which is almost a 100% chance. It's like 99% plus that they win that game. Likelihood that they win that game. Then they see the Raiders after that at home in Arrowhead. I have the Chiefs as 14-point favorites in this game, and that gives them about a 92% chance to win that game. Then they play the Chargers at home. I have them as 5.5-point favorites in that game, which gives them a 69% chance of winning. Very nice. Then they go to Cleveland, and versus Cleveland, I have them as 10.5-point favorites, 86% chance of winning that game. Then they see Houston at home. And this is where the SRS score gets a little weird because according to SRS, the Chiefs would be 7-point favorites at home versus the Houston Texans. And that gives them a 75% chance of winning that game. Then they go and play Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh. Once again, SRS being weird, they really like the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Chiefs would be 2-point underdogs in that game at Pittsburgh. And that gives them a 46-47% chance of winning. And then lastly, they go to Denver. SRS once again likes the Broncos in this game. I have this game as an even, as a push, and that gives the Chiefs a 50% chance of winning this game. So looking down through the Chiefs' schedule, their remaining 10 games, there are really, I think, 3 or 4 games that I would consider to be, okay, these are going to be our clinchers, our cheek clinchers, as I want to call them. Games that might be close. Will be challenging for the Chiefs, and that's at Buffalo, home versus Houston, at Pittsburgh, and at Denver. I also have some curiosities about the game at Cleveland. I think that Jameis Winston is such a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson. The Browns may go on a tear to end the season. I would not be surprised in the least. So, of those 10 games, there's 4 games that are head scratchers. But if you take all those percentages, all those likelihoods that the Chiefs would win, and you extrapolate all of that, the Chiefs currently have about a 2.5% chance of going undefeated. But as each one of these games passes by and the Chiefs win each of these games, that likelihood becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as the season goes on. And these probabilities may change too. Like maybe Buffalo loses their next 2 games and their SR score drops. Or Houston loses some more games. Pittsburgh loses some more games. A lot of things can happen between now and then, now and the end of the season. But as of now, I give the Chiefs a 2.5% chance of going undefeated. Now's your chance in the comments to let me know how you feel about that likelihood. Do you think 2.5% for this Chiefs team going undefeated is too low? Or do you think it's too high? Do you think it's just about right? Let me know down in the comments. But right now I'm sticking to 2.5%. But as every week goes on, the Chiefs will see an improvement in this number. And the biggest jumps that the Chiefs can take in terms of going undefeated this year would be if they beat Buffalo, if they beat Pittsburgh. Those are the 2 big games. So if they can win both of those, it gives them the best chance of going undefeated. So that's where we are with the Chiefs trying to go undefeated. 10 games left in the year. We'll see if they can do it. And right now, I think this is a legitimate conversation to be having because they started the season 7-0. The way they've been winning has been not the prettiest. They haven't been playing lights out football. They've just been doing what they do. It's almost like a machine, the way the Chiefs have been winning these games. And so Steve Spagnuolo has a huge part in this. Andy Reid has a huge part in this. The entire Chiefs team has a huge part in this. And right now, I don't know how they can lose, how they're going to lose any games by the way they've played. I think that the one thing that could get them are the turnovers. They'd have to turn the ball over a lot, lose the turnover battle maybe by 3. We've seen them lose the turnover battle multiple times this year and go along just fine. We just saw last week versus the Raiders. The Raiders got a turnover, had the ball in the Chiefs 5-4, somewhere around their yard line. Still couldn't score, turned over on downs. So I don't see anything at this point that's going to stop this team from going undefeated. It's going to have to be something new that we weren't expecting. So that's where I stand on that. Looking forward to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. I think it's peculiar that the Chiefs are 8.5-point favorites in this game. I know that Chris Godwin's out. I know that Mike Evans is going to be out. I know they have a slew of injuries right now. At this point in time in the season, they've had 10 players who have been on the IR. Some of those notables, Chris Godwin, as we mentioned, you had Jamel Dean, Bryce Hall, another cornerback is out for them. And then out for this next game, Mike Evans not going to play. And then Levante David is questionable. He will most likely play, but who knows what percentage he's going to be at. So the Buccaneers have been dealing with a lot of injuries. And that is why the Chiefs are 8.5-point favorites versus Tampa Bay. But if you look at the SRS scores, which is a number calculated by Pro Football Reference that takes into account how teams have all fared against each other and looks at how well that team has done against the average of their opponents. According to that, the Chiefs should only be, 3 or 4 point favorites in this game. So Vegas right now, I think a lot of the money is on the Chiefs, and it's on the Chiefs because Chris Godwin's not playing, Mike Evans isn't playing, they have a lot of injuries, and the public sentiment right now on the Buccaneers is very low. But let me tell you, whenever I was writing algorithms to beat the NFL spread, there were a few things that really didn't matter. And player injuries, especially to the wide receiver position, very rarely had an impact on the outcome of the game in terms of the spread. So if a quarterback was out of the game, you could expect a 2 or 3 point swing in the spread. What often happens is that Vegas would say, okay, this quarterback's out. Public sentiment is going to be really negative on this team. So we're going to deduct 7 points from the spread for this game. There's going to be a 7-point swing. When in reality, the swing was only 3 or 4 points. And the reason for that is because football is a game played with 22 starters, and the quarterback is just one of those 22 starters. So the impact of one player can mean the difference between winning and losing, of course. But in terms of the spread, the public often overvalues this. They overhype this whenever players are out. There's a lot to do with scheme that impacts how the game is played. There's a lot of things that happen in the trenches, guys that aren't really flashy names that have a huge impact on the game. And so I think right now Vegas is overvaluing all these injuries to receivers for the Buccaneers. And we saw that last week, because last week Baker Mayfield threw for 330 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did have 2 interceptions, a quarterback rating of 94.6, and that was without Godwin and Evans. So who did he target in that game to get all those yards? Well, he was looking at Bucky Irving, Rachaad White, 2 running backs on the Buccaneers team, and then Cade Otton had a huge game filling the void for both of those missing wide receivers. So there's things that the Buccaneers are doing to try to work around missing their top 2 wide receivers. And then Sterling Shepard has been added to the fold for the Buccaneers too, and they're trying to get him acclimated, similar to how the Chiefs are trying to get DeAndre Hopkins acclimated. Mayfield as a whole has had a really good year. He's throwing for 2,189 yards, 21 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, a 71.1% completion percentage, which is awesome, and then a quarterback rating of 104.9. However, Tampa Bay is still 4-4. The reason for that is because their defense has been terrible. They started the season very early on without 2 of their starting cornerbacks, and that had a huge impact on their passing defense. They ranked number 29th in passing yards allowed in 2024, and their defense as a whole has been bad. They're 28th in points allowed and 30th in yards allowed. So this is a tale of 2 halves of the ball for Tampa Bay. They have a really good offense, really bad defense. Their offense is number 4 in points allowed, number 4 in points scored, number 4 in yards gained. So they're very good offense, very bad defense. And the things about this game that I am concerned about for the Chiefs, or the things that the Chiefs need to take care of in this game, start to make me believe more in this 8.5-point spread. And the reason for that is because if you want to stop this Tampa Bay team, you need to stop the short passing. So the Chiefs linebackers need to be committed to playing tight underneath coverage and focusing on running the running backs for the Buccaneers. They need to be spying on the running back in the backfield, making sure he's not catching any dump-off passes. The Chiefs will need to play press man in this game very well. And then if they do play zone, once again, keep that tight underneath coverage. And usually week in, week out, I've been saying the key to the Chiefs' victory has been stopping the run. That's not the direction I'm going to go this week. I think the key to this game is stopping that short passing attack by the Buccaneers. And the reason I'm kind of getting more cozy with that 8.5 number, 8.5, advantage for the Chiefs, is because the Chiefs do these things very well. They play press man coverage very well. They have tight underneath coverage that's very successful. They have good linebackers that can get downhill. They are good tacklers, both in the secondary and at the linebacker positions. And so I think that this might be a very difficult game for the Buccaneers, just schematically. I think the Buccaneers offense has played awesome though. And so if they can stop this short passing game, it's really going to help. But they have to do it. And Baker Mayfield has these awesome numbers for a reason. He's been playing really well so far in 2024. It's going to be a task for the Chiefs to stop them. But my key to this game is the Chiefs defense has to stop this short passing attack from the Buccaneers. They can't be letting Bucky Irving get out and cause problems for them. So Bucky Irving can do that. He can be a game wrecker for this game. So the Chiefs need to stop him in the passing attack. Don't let him be a problem. And I think all will be well with this game. Last week, I was somewhat close to predicting the Chiefs score. I really wish that the Raiders didn't score that garbage time touchdown at the end of the game, because it would have been a lot better. But my thoughts for this game is that the Chiefs are going to win by a score of 27-17. That's my score prediction. Let me know down in the comments once again what your score prediction is. Do you think the Chiefs are more likely to go undefeated? Do you think their probability is greater than 2.5% of going undefeated? Let me know down in the comments. And then as always, thanks for swinging by. It's such a privilege to be able to talk with you on this medium here on YouTube. I'm glad you spent, your night, your afternoon, your morning, whatever, with me listening about Chiefs football. So got nothing but love and respect for you. Hit that like button if you want to. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I'm going to lose my mind once we get to 30,000 subscribers, because what an accomplishment that would be. And we need your help. So appreciate all y'all. Got nothing but love and respect for you. Here's to a wonderful Halloween. Hopefully you have a good time with your family, if you're so inclined to spend Halloween with them. Otherwise, let's go for a Chiefs Monday night victory. Here we go, Kansas City. Let's root for a win. Y'all take care now.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.